can't believe they're just leaving it here for anyone to come in and take it. They must have dozens of them in a back room somewhere.
Yes?
You're the chief rabbi here at Beth Tikva?
I do carry that honor. So, what can I do for you, Mr.
Rabbi, actually. Rabbi Stone.
Well, fancy that. I can always spare time for a fellow rabbi. What brings you to our humble synagogue?
Do you know Mr. Jack Lauder?
Should I know Mr. Jack Lauder?
Don't you think you should know Jack Lauder?
Why do you think so?
Wasn't he a member of your congregation?
Was he?
Don't you know your own congregation?
Am I expected to know everybody?
Well,
Are you finished?
I guess.
Wonderful.
He was a member of your congregation. He died a few days ago.
That's right. The funeral service was yesterday. I honestly don't know where my head is these days.
You conducted the ceremony?
Yes, his wife insisted on it.
Did she now?
If I may ask, what is your interest in Mr. Lauder?
Aren't all matters of our flock our concern?
Well, not every matter, but still, we do what we can, don't we?
Is there anything you can tell me about Mr. Lauder?
I'm afraid not, Rabbi Stone. My congregation is rather large, and Mr. Lauder seldom attended services. I'm sure I don't need to tell you what that's like.
You certainly don't. Does the name Joe DeMarco mean anything to you?
DeMarco?
Yes.
Sounds Italian. Other than that, it means nothing. Sorry.
Are you familiar with an Ethan G?
Ethan G? Is that his name?
Just an initial as far as I know.
Ah, well, nothing leaps to mind, I'm afraid.
Do you know anything about Ethan G meeting up with Joe DeMarco?
In all honesty, I have no idea who Joe DeMarco is. So I'm afraid the answer is no.
Good night to you, Rabbi Zelig.
Good night to you, Rabbi Stone.
Excuse me. Hello? Excuse me. I'm looking for information on Ethan Goldberg. He was killed outside of this bar. Do you know anything about it? Do you know a Mr. Jack Lauder? I'm looking for information on Joe DeMarco.
No, I won't forget about it.
Mrs. Lauder.
Oh, it's you. Come on in.
Have you ever heard of the name Joe DeMarco?
Joe? Joe. Yes, I've heard of Joe. He was one of our first investors.
He invested in Charming?
Yes.
Why did you need an investor?
Well, we didn't have much money to start the business with. All the banks saw us as a poor risk, so we needed independent investors.
Have you ever met Joe?
Jack handled the money stuff, although I know Jack didn't like him.
Why not?
He didn't say, he just didn't like him. But we were desperate, so we had no choice.
How did they meet each other?
I think they were introduced. At the temple of all places.
At Temple? So Joe DeMarco is Jewish?
Maybe. Why?
DeMarco is not a very Jewish name.
And that's important to you, is it?
Not to me, no. But it's certainly significant. Do you know anything about Ethan G. meeting up with Joe DeMarco?
I'm afraid not. If they met, I'm sure it had something to do with the business. Ethan was our accountant and Joe was our primary investor. Although I have no idea what they'd want to talk about.
Do you know an Ethan Goldberg?
Oh, Ethan Goldberg. Yeah, I know him.
Who is he?
An accountant. We used him to handle taxes and complicated documents for the business. Not full-time, just on a consultant basis. Wait, is he involved in this?
Not anymore. He's dead.
What? Since when?
About a week or two ago. Murdered.
My God! What is happening?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. You really think Joe DeMarco is Jewish?
I told you, I have no idea.
I'm going to leave now. I'll see what else I can discover.
Thanks, I guess.
Yes?
Does the name Joe DeMarco mean anything to you?
DeMarco?
Yes.
Sounds Italian. Other than that, it means nothing. Sorry.
Do you know anything about Ethan G. meeting up with Joe DeMarco?
In all honesty, I have no idea who Joe DeMarco is. So I'm afraid the answer is no.
I was hoping you could tell me something about Ethan Goldberg. I know he used to work here.
Ethan? Oh, what a tragedy. That man did wonders for this community. It's a shame what happened to him.
You know about his death?
Of course, I conducted the funeral service myself.
I recently found out that Ethan Goldberg and Jack Lauder did business together.
Really? I'm not surprised. Ethan offered his services to many people. He was a whiz with an adding machine. So I heard.
Did a Joe DeMarco ever belong to this temple?
DeMarco. That's hardly a Jewish name.
I know.
Although it's difficult to say. As I told you, it's difficult to keep track of individual congregation members.
He was an investor in Jack Lauder's company. Does that mean anything to you?
I don't know. Should it?
No, I suppose not. Doesn't any of this strike you as odd?
Should it?
Two Jewish men, both in business together and both belonging to the same synagogue, are killed within 2 weeks of each other. A third man, who may or may not be Jewish, is nowhere to be found. There are only two connections between these three men. One is Jack's business, the other is this synagogue.
Rabbi Stone, I hope you're not suggesting anything.
I'm not.
Let me finish. People all over the world use religious communities to network and conduct business. This is nothing new. You know this, Rabbi Stone. If there is a connection, it has to do with their business dealings and nothing to do with Beth Tikva. I won't stand for our reputation being tarnished. Do I make myself clear?
As crystal.
I'm glad we understand each other. Now, if you'll excuse me, it is rather late.
I understand. I'll see myself out.
Wait, let me give you my card. Feel free to email me if you have any more questions.
Evening.
Yeah?
Nice night.
Whatever.
So what's your name?
Look, could you leave me alone?
Do you know a Joe DeMarco?
Sure I do. That's my name.
Really?
Yeah. What of it?
You're a hard guy to track down.
Well, yippee. You found me. What do you want?
What's your beef with Ethan Goldberg?
Never heard of him.
Your name appears in connection with his.
Lots of Ethan Goldbergs. Lots of Joe DeMarcos. Both are common names. You got nothing. So leave me alone.
Ethan was killed just outside of this bar.
Coincidence. You still got nothing.
Do you know Rabbi Zelig?
What's a rabbi?
His full name is Amos Zelig.
Nope. Sorry.
What's your connection with Jack Lauder?
Don't know him.
Sure you do. He wrote you a number of checks.
Whoever he wrote them to, it wasn't me.
Your name is on the checks.
Then it's some other Joe DeMarco. Get out of here.
Are you Jewish, Mr. DeMarco?
Huh? No. What the hell is Jewish?
Never mind. So long.
Yeah.